Hey everybody, it's Jason with Parallel Reality coming back with you here today to go over an article from Breitbart dated July 11th. It says Biden administration says it opposes using merit in military personnel decisions. You know, the thing that lets the best rise to the top. Yeah, we don't want that because reasons, so maybe it's no wonder we haven't won a war in a very long time. But let's go ahead and see what this article says. It says the Biden administration on Monday slammed the Republican-controlled House's version of the 2024 National Defense Authorization Act for requiring military personnel decisions to be based on merit and not race or gender, among other provisions. And as of today, when I'm recording this, this bill actually has passed the House. So that's a good thing. Says the administration strongly opposes the House's sweeping attempts to eliminate the department's long-standing diversity, equity, inclusion, access efforts related initiatives to promote a cohesive and inclusive force, the Biden administration said in a statement of administration policy. What I'd like someone from the administration to tell me is, how is this going to make our military better? Like by having people moved up into positions that they're not qualified for? That's what merit means, is that you're qualified to do that. But if you're moving people into positions that based on things that are not merit, how is that going to help us? I'll give you a hint. It's not going to help anything anywhere. Okay, so let's go ahead and scroll down. It says the House's NDAA contains a number of Republican-authored provisions to roll back the Biden administration's efforts to push Marxist-based diversity, equity, and inclusion, as DEI, initiatives throughout the entire Department of Defense establishment, including the military. It also contains a number of Republican-backed provisions to give troops kicked out over following the Biden administration's COVID-19 mandate a path back into the military with back pay, which for God for that. There actually definitely should be. I'm glad that's getting in there because those folks never should have been kicked out in the first place. It says the Biden administration specifically said it opposed Section 364, which would prohibit the defense secretary from appointing or employing a military or civilian employee whose duties include diversity, equity, and inclusion with a rank or grade above O2, it's military, or GS-10, civilian, and never serving in the military. I'm not really knowing about that. I don't know what that actually means, though. I imagine that's probably pretty significant. So it also said it opposed Section 523, which required the Department of Defense to issue policy that all military accessions, assignments, selections, or promotions must adhere to merit-based principles and that quotas are prohibited. Yeah, I can't imagine in any job that you go to that someone's like, we're going to promote you. Why? Because you look a certain way. Or because of who's, another person's junk you like to touch. Like, I'd be like, well, but how did I do in my job, though? Like, does that count? No, that doesn't matter. None of it's based on your job. Like, you end up with people rising that to the top that are not qualified to be there. This is going to happen everywhere. Bad things are going to happen, man. So article goes on and says, those particular provisions were authored by Navy veteran and Armed Services Military Personnel Subcommittee Chairman Jim Banks, Republican of Indiana, who told Breitbart News in a statement, it's incredibly dangerous that the Biden administration is opposed to merit-based promotions. When our service members are in life or death situations, we need the best leaders, period. I don't know why that would even be a remotely controversial statement. That's 100% true. So the Biden administration also said in its statement that it opposed two other of Banks' provisions, sections 525 and 526. Section 525 would prohibit punishment of service members based solely on refusal to receive COVID-19 vaccines and authorizes the reinstatement of individuals discharged for vaccine refusal. How could you say no to that? Like, I just don't understand why people would be against that. That just doesn't make sense to me. Section 526 directs the Military Services Boards of Correction to prioritize requests to review the narrative reasons of discharge and reentry codes of veterans for service members discharged for refusal to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. Okay, good. That's what should happen again. So the Biden administration said it opposed those provisions and others related to COVID-19 because it set a dangerous precedent that not following lawful orders is an option for service members, which will be deleterious to good order and discipline as well as unit cohesion. Yeah, but all those people who didn't take it were right. So you don't just get to say necessarily do this or else. Okay, so yeah, I stand with those service members. I'm sorry. The administration argued that the language would prevent the defense secretary from taking appropriate action in the future should a new strain of COVID-19 again require vaccination for forced health protection. Yeah, let's rush out a vaccine that isn't tested and just demand that you take it, and let's just hope that people don't drop dead suddenly. Okay? Which is basically what happened with this thing. So, yeah, let's do that again, because that went over so well the first time. It argued that COVID-19 cases should not be prioritized at the boards of corrections, arguing that there were more pressing issues such as military sexual trauma, PTSD related to military service, and matters related to pay and benefits. The Biden administration argued that diversity gave the DoD a strategic advantage. How? How does that do that? I want to see what this statement here says. This DoD is a strategic advantage in a complex global security environment is the diverse and dynamic talent pool from which we draw. It was that beforehand, guys. It already was diverse. Okay, the talent pool is everybody in the country. Is that not diverse? Okay. And if you want to narrow that down, because, maybe there's only people of a certain age that are allowed to join, okay, that's still not just everybody in the country, but it's still an extremely diverse group of people. It says, rely on diverse perspectives, experiences, and skill sets to remain a global leader, deter war, and keep our nation secure. We're not really good in doing well at the deter war part, considering what's going on in Ukraine and how we keep giving them more shit. And keeping our nation secure, go look at our southern border. Try that again. So we're not really doing good there either. Says, moreover, DoD is committed to developing and maintaining a dignified, respectful, and safe workplace. You're the Department of Defense. You're pretty much in a place that isn't meant to be safe, I guess. What's all this bullshit about safe workplaces? I mean, Jesus Christ, you're going to run into stuff that pisses you off or that makes you feel unsafe pretty much all the time. So just knock it off. It's stupid language. It says legislation that reduces DoD's ability to create a positive work environment. Yes, because when I work at the FBI or CIA, I just want it to be so positive and fully leverage the best our nation has to offer puts the department at a strategic disadvantage. No, it doesn't. You guys still haven't explained how having not not promoting people based on merit alone is bad. Why is that a bad thing? You haven't done that. You've basically just said, we just don't want to hire. It all comes down to one thing that I'm not going to say, but I think you all know what it is. But there's no reason that, if one person was better than all the other people at something, I could give a shit what that person looks like or what they identify as. That's the person that should go up. That's merit. But if you're just saying the other person should be promoted because of nothing that has to do with their ability to perform their job, because of the way they look or whose junk they want to play with, yeah, I'm sorry. That just doesn't fly for me. It says the House's bill was, it does say it here. The House's bill was passed by the House Armed Services Committee last month on an overwhelmingly bipartisan basis of 58-1, with only Rep. Ro Khanna opposing. Okay, so that was the Armed Services Committee. Yeah, so I guess what I was saying before then was through the House itself, it actually passed, and it's off to the Senate at this point. But what do you guys think about this? Don't you think it's really dangerous that you have your presidential administration saying we don't want the best people for the job? We'd rather have it be people who look a certain way or identify a certain way. That means you're not going to be getting the best people. I mean, that's right off the bat. If you're not doing it based on merit, then you're doing it based on, then you're just going to have not the cream of the crop rise to the top. And that's bad. And again, that's probably why we've lost a bunch of wars in the last few decades. But let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.